Alors, bonsoir à cette séance spéciale du conseil de ville de Mont-Royal. Une séance spéciale pour l'adoption, enfin la présentation du budget 2018. So, welcome everybody to this special council meeting regarding our 2018 budget. Je vais souhaiter quelqu'un pour ouvrir l'Assemblée, adopter l'ordre du jour.
Yes, I hereby move to adopt the agenda of this special meeting of January 22nd, 2018.
I second.
Merci. Je demande le vote pour l'adoption de l'ordre du jour. Merci. Alors, nous sommes maintenant au point 3, adoption du budget de fonctionnement de la Ville de Mont-Royal pour 2018. Je vais évidemment, comme à chaque année, vous présenter les grandes lignes de notre budget. Alors, chaque année, j'ai un petit texte à vous lire, ce que je vais faire maintenant. Alors, bonsoir. Conformément à la loi sur les cités et villes et au nom du conseil municipal, c'est avec plaisir que je vous soumets le rapport sur le budget de fonctionnement de 2018 et du programme triennal d'immobilisation 2018, 2019, 2020 de la Ville de Mont-Royal. D'abord, une petite mise en contexte. Je crois pertinent de rappeler qu'on a amorcé les travaux pour ce budget-là, comme à chaque fois, à la fin de l'été. Donc, un budget, ça se prépare de longue date. On commence à la fin de l'été. Et donc, il y a eu des travaux pour préparer ce budget-là tout au long de l'automne. Et vers la fin de l'année, alors qu'on était pas mal à finaliser notre budget, on visait une hausse du taux de taxe pour les résidents d'environ 1 %. Donc, on voulait viser en dessous du taux d'inflation. On était capable de faire ça, ce qui était déjà une excellente nouvelle, parce qu'on avait réussi à réduire de façon assez importante les dépenses locales. Alors, on avait réussi à réduire nos dépenses locales de près de 1 %, de 0,83 % plus précisément. Alors, dans un contexte où, à cause des conventions collectives, les salaires augmentent, dans le contexte où tous nos achats, tout ce qu'on achète, ça augmente d'année en année, que ce soit de l'essence, que ce soit le gravier, que ce soit l'asphalte, tout augmente. Malgré toutes ces choses-là en croissance, on avait réussi à faire diminuer nos dépenses de près d'1 %. Alors, on était très, très, très fiers de notre budget. Et puis, je tiens à mentionner à quel point l'équipe ici a bien travaillé sur ce point-là. Évidemment, tout ça a changé le 10 janvier. On se rappellera que le 10 janvier dernier, on a appris par les médias que l'administration de Valérie Plante avait un peu changé les règles du jeu et augmentait notre quote-part de façon drastique. On se rappellera qu'elle avait fait campagne en parlant du taux d'inflation. On se rappellera qu'elle tout au long, après sa victoire, tout au long du mois de novembre et de décembre, elle n'a jamais donné signe qu'elle voulait changer sa position sur ce point-là. Et là, tout d'un coup, on apprend le 10 janvier que notre quote-part vient de bondir de 9,8 %. C'est énorme, c'est énorme. Il faut penser que 50 % de nos dépenses, c'est l'agglo. C'est une seule facture à l'agglomération représente 50 % des dépenses de la ville. Donc, c'est énorme de faire augmenter cette partie-là de 9,8 %. La situation, si elle demeure choquante, n'est pas aussi dramatique qu'elle aurait pu l'être. Depuis plusieurs années, notre administration assure une gestion financière très rigoureuse et conservatrice des fonds publics. Diverses stratégies, telles que le remboursement anticipé, on se rappellera qu'on a une politique de remboursement de la dette, donc ça nous permet de rembourser la dette plus rapidement. Et l'accumulation de divers surplus nous permettent aujourd'hui d'absorber la nouvelle quote-part et d'éviter une hausse inconsidérée de vos taxes foncières. So as you may know, we start working on the budget by the end of summer. Preparing a budget is hard work and takes many months. As a result of our prudent and rigorous financial habits, we were quite happy to go toward a very, very small increase of the town tax rate, way below inflation rate. But everything changed on January 10. We were stunned to learn from the media that the new Valérie Plante administration has decided to increase by 9.8% our share of the aglo, and that without any warning. We found ourselves facing an unexpectedly large challenge. Of all the related municipalities, TMR was the most severely affected by the change in the calculation of the fiscal capacity and by the consequent increase of our aliquot share to the aglo. However, due, among other things, to several years of sound financial management and to our accumulated financial surplus, we are able today to table a responsible budget without having to cut town services. Alors là, l'administration propose, certains l'ont déjà vu dans les communiqués, propose cette année un budget comportant une augmentation de 2,24% du compte de taxes pour les contribuables possédant une maison unifamiliale moyenne. Notre budget de fonctionnement de 2018 et le PTI traduisent notamment les priorités suivantes. C'était d'ailleurs les priorités, plusieurs là-dedans avaient été déjà lancées durant l'été. Alors, la première priorité dans ce budget-là, c'était contraindre une augmentation jugée raisonnable pour le compte de taxes, en dépit de la hausse soudaine de 9,8% de notre quote-part à verser à l'agglomération de Montréal. Deuxième priorité, bonifier l'offre d'activités culturelles en tenant compte notamment de l'entente de partenariat conclue l'année dernière avec le ministère de la Culture et des Communications. Troisième priorité, entamer les actions requises pour la construction d'un centre sportif et communautaire. Quatrième priorité, continuer d'améliorer l'offre d'équipements de jeux dans nos parcs afin de favoriser l'épanouissement des enfants par le divertissement et l'activité physique. Priorité suivante, étudier diverses options pour développer le réseau cyclable de Mont-Royal, entre autres quant à son raccordement avec les circuits des arrondissements limitrophes. Poursuivre les actions environnementales de la municipalité en investissant dans le verdissement des nouveaux secteurs résidentiels, commerciaux et industriels. Prévoir les besoins en ce qui a trait aux effectifs de l'urbanisme et de l'inspection pour améliorer le service aux citoyens à la lumière d'un volume croissant des demandes. Accélérer la réfection des rues et des trottoirs de la ville et augmenter les effectifs en sécurité publique, actualiser son image corporative et accroître la visibilité de ce service. So this year, our municipal administration has prepared a budget that includes a 2.24% tax increase for residential taxpayer. The priorities of our 2018 budget are as follows. Limit the tax increase to a level deemed reasonable despite the substantial increase of 9.8% of our share for the Montreal agglomeration. Improve our offer of cultural activities. Begin taking the steps necessary to construct a sport and community center. Continue improving the playground equipment in our parks to encourage children's activity. Study various options for developing Mont-Royal bike path network, including ways of connecting it to our adjacent community. Continue the town's environmental activities. Plan for increased staffing level at the urban planning and inspection group to improve service to citizens. Expedite the repairs of street and sidewalk, and increase staffing level at public security. Ainsi, le budget de fonctionnement de 2018 se chiffre à 94 953 000 $, une hausse de 5,3%, 5,37% par rapport au budget de 2017. Cette hausse-là s'explique à cause des facteurs suivants. On le sait déjà, une augmentation totale de 5 millions de notre quote-part versée à l'agglomération de Montréal. Une augmentation de 92 000 $ de la contribution exigée de la Ville de Montréal relative aux dépenses afférentes au centre-ville et une augmentation de 13 000 $ de la quote-part de Mont-Royal à la CMM, la communauté métropolitaine de Mont-Royal. Pendant ce temps-là, on a eu une diminution des dépenses locales de 360 000 $, on l'a dit tout à l'heure, 0,8%, qui s'explique de plusieurs façons, mais notamment par la diminution du remboursement en capital de la dette à long terme, la diminution pour l'achat d'équipements relatifs au réseau d'aqueduc, la diminution des dépenses d'entretien de notre forêt urbaine, la diminution de la rémunération globale des charges sociales et des avantages sociaux. So our 2018 budget totals $94,953,000, up 5.37% from the last year budget. The increase is primarily due to the following factors: a total increase of $5 million in our cut-part to the AGLO, a $92,000 increase in the contribution required by the City of Montreal for spending related to the downtown of City of Montreal, a $13,000 increase in our share to the Communauté métropolitaine de Montréal. And we got a decrease of our own expenditure, so $360,000. That's almost 1% decrease in local expenditure. So I think we have to be proud that on our side, we really did a good work. En ce qui a trait aux revenus, les revenus provenant des droits sur les mutations immobilières des permis de construction augmentent au budget, et ce, de l'ordre d'un peu plus de 2,6 millions. C'est un signe que le marché immobilier de Mont-Royal se porte très bien. Il importe de souligner que dans un contexte où la diversification des revenus est extrêmement limitée pour la municipalité, où l'offre des services aux résidents nécessite une augmentation et où les dépenses rattachées à la quote-part de l'agglomération de Montréal vont croissant, qu'il est prévu au budget de 2018 de se prévaloir du pouvoir accru accordé aux municipalités permettant d'imposer des droits de mutation selon des taux plus élevés que ceux prévus au départ par la loi. Finalement, pour pallier l'augmentation importante de la quote-part à verser à l'agglomération de Montréal, le conseil municipal a décidé d'utiliser une partie des surplus accumulés de la municipalité afin de réduire l'impact financier de cette hausse sur le compte de taxes des résidents. Soulignons qu'au cours des années 2016 et 2017, ces surplus avaient été spécifiquement réservés au financement des budgets de fonctionnement des années 2017 et suivantes. Cette décision, que nous estimons prudente, nous permet en situation difficile de stabiliser la taxation et d'en faire profiter les Monterois et Monteroises sur leur compte d'impôt foncier. Nous sommes maintenant au PTI. So, as for our triennial capital expenditure program, to maintain the town's infrastructure in good condition and to achieve our political program, we have established our triennial capital expenditure program for the next 3 years. The amount allocated, allocated for the 3 years PTE is $60 million for the next 3 years. The amount allocated for 2018 will be used mainly to build a new sport and community complex, upgrade and renovate our municipal buildings, renew our fleet of vehicles and heavy machinery, reconstruct street and sidewalk, invest in our park, mainly create a new park on Bates Avenue, install 2 electric vehicle charging stations, and invest in information technology. Nous sommes conscients que ces investissements majeurs auront un impact sur l'endettement de la municipalité. Pour cette raison, nous prenons un soin d'équilibrer le financement des grands projets en affectant une certaine partie des surplus des années passées tout en émettant de nouvelles dettes, ce qui nous permet d'assurer un partage équitable des charges fiscales entre les générations et de modérer le niveau d'endettement. Rappelons que la municipalité n'est pas tenue de mener tous ces projets à terme ou de dépenser toutes ces sommes. So we are well aware that these major investments will have an impact on the municipal debt. That is why we carefully balance the funding of large projects by allocating part of our surplus from preceding years and issuing debt, thereby moderating the town's debt level and ensuring that the tax burden is fairly shared by all generations. En définitive, bien que sa préparation comportait cette année un lot particulier de contraintes, et ce principalement en vertu de l'augmentation subite et importante de la quote-part d'agglomération à débourser, le budget de 2018 s'inscrit dans la même tradition de rigueur et de prudence que tous ceux qui l'ont précédé à Mont-Royal. Sans même affecter les services offerts aux Monterois, ni en termes de fréquence, ni en termes de qualité, le budget déposé aujourd'hui s'adapte avec souplesse à des enjeux municipaux en mouvance et parvient une fois encore à maintenir, voire à faire avancer le niveau d'excellence qui assure la réputation de notre cité-jardin. Le budget de Mont-Royal, je le rappelle, inclut par ailleurs de très belles nouvelles. En 2018, en marge de nos travaux habituels de voirie et de nos investissements annuels dans nos infrastructures, la Ville prévoit notamment l'amorce des démarches pour la construction d'un centre sportif, la création d'un nouveau parc dans le secteur Bates-Acres, l'ajout de bornes de recharge pour voitures électriques, le remplacement des équipements de jeu dans certains parcs et l'amélioration du drainage du parc Canet. When all is said and done, although its preparation this year came with a special set of constraints, mainly related to the sudden large increase in the aliquot share to be paid to the agglomeration, the 2018 budget adheres to the same tradition of discipline and prudence as those that have preceded in Mont-Royal. Without in any way affecting the frequency or quality of the services offered to Townley, this budget table today adapts to the changing challenge facing our municipality. Qu'on se le dise, les finances de notre cité-jardin demeurent très saines. Je ne crois pas me tromper en affirmant que tout le monde cette année se serait bien passé du budget inflationniste de la Ville-Centre. Mais la rigueur de la gestion financière de Mont-Royal, que nous ne cessons de prôner, continue de faire ses preuves et nous assure d'un bel avenir fort prometteur. Merci. Alors, ceci dit, nous sommes maintenant à l'adoption du budget. Est-ce que j'ai des commentaires? Jonathan? Okay. Bouton.
Thank you. Merci, Monsieur Aubin. In November and December, we, the elected officials, participated in 3 days of discussion on budget matters, including regular operating expenses and future projects, so to speak, a bucket list. Different options were presented, and this preliminary budget was discussed based on a projected 2.3% increase coming from the City of Montreal. As a newly elected councillor, this being my first round of budget discussions, I can confer that the town does spend your money wisely. In fact, during our preliminary budget discussions, we had considered a tax bill decrease to citizens. As you know, the City of Montreal presented its budget on January 10th with an actual 9.8% increase on our share of the contribution to the Aglo, resulting in an increase of over $5 million. We, the elected officials, had an emergency meeting the following day, and we discussed different scenarios. We certainly do not want to cut services. The different scenarios we discussed were based on how much do we tap into our surplus, resulting in if and by how much do we increase the tax bill to our citizens. A lively exchange took place, and as a result, based on the amount that we are taking from our past surplus, the majority opted for a 2.24% increase over last year to compensate for the additional $5 million we need to give to Montreal. Although I do not favor a scenario with no tax increase, I would have preferred using more of the surplus with less of an increase to the citizens' tax bill. However, having looked at the actual dollar amount per home, I feel in order to maintain harmony within council, I will support the proposed budget as well as the 2.24% increase.
Merci, Jonathan. John?
Okay, I would just like to, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Just add a couple of things. That 2.24% increase translates on an average family home worth $1,060,000 to about $170 increase in taxes compared to last year. Also, where last year's tax bill, the bill you received for municipal taxes, Aglo accounted for about just over 60% of the amount that you paid in your taxes. This year, it'll be about 65%. That's quite a big increase, and that's because of the additional $5 million from Aglo. So, with that, attendant conformément à l'article 400 74 de la loi sur les sites de la ville, le conseil doit préparer et adopter le budget de la municipalité pour le prochain exercice financier et y prévoir les revenus au moins égaux aux dépenses qui y figurent. So I propose to adopt the 2018 budget in the amount of $94,953,710. D'affecter $1,725,000 de surplus accumulé pour financer les dépenses de fonctionnement de l'année 2018. To appropriate $2,100,000 from the financial reserve for the reimbursement of long-term debt to the reimbursement in advance of the long-term debt. To appropriate $180,000 from the town's general revenues to for repayment of the loan from the working fund, and to authorize the town manager to provide such services, to carry out such works, and to meet such expenditures as provided in the 2018 budget, the whole in accordance with the bylaw. Je propose.
I second the motion.
Merci. Donc, proposé, adopté, secondé. Je demande le vote. Merci beaucoup. Adopté. Nous sommes maintenant au point 4, période de questions du public. Évidemment, des questions qui doivent porter sur le budget. Alors, il n'y a personne, alors je vais peut-être lui montrer où...
Good evening, City Councillors. Mayor Roy.
Bonsoir.
I'm going to start off by saying it is indeed very unfortunate that we don't have a finance committee, because I'd like to bring out a couple of facts that was never brought to you people before, and it all rests on the operating costs of the town of Mont-Royal. That means I exclude the AGLO, I exclude what we're paying to the City of Montreal, and I'm talking about the pure operating costs of the town. If I look at the paper that you presented here tonight, which is the budget for 2017, 2018, and then you've got comparisons between the 2 years. Let's look at the figure where we talk about dépenses de fonctionnement, operating expenditures. The budget 2017 was 44 million. Sorry. Have you got your papers in front of you?
Well, I don't, but Nathalie has. Yeah.
Well, I think you should follow the Mayor. I mean, it's, you know, I'm talking about figures that you presented, the council voted upon, so I think that, you know, okay?
Well, obviously we saw the figure, but I don't have it.
Okay.
Now I
All right,
do.
no, fine, thank you. The total is 44,711,000, if I read it correctly, and some dollars there. That's the budget for 2017. The amount just above that is reimbursement for long-term debt. So that's not an expense of operations. I know it goes into the tax base, but it's not an operating cost of the town. So if you subtract that, you'll end up with 39,906,000 being the operating costs of the town of Mont-Royal. Salaries, wages, cultural, hygiene, transport, you name it, and finance. The surpluses accumulated over the past years is $34,900,000 since 2012. Surpluses are created by two events. One, windfall profits. In other words, if you budget the taxe de bienvenue, the welcome tax at 4 million, and you end up the year having 9 million because the Rockland Shopping Center contributed $4 million, so that's what I call a windfall profit. If you are conservative in estimating your revenues on taxes and licenses and so on, which you have to do because revenues are very difficult to know what's going to happen, you'll end up with a profit there too. So this is windfall. The other part of your surplus is the over budgeting of your operating costs. I'll give you a couple of years. 2016, the budget was $37,619. Actual, $32,615,000. Surplus from operating costs, $5 million. The year before, the budget was $36,834,000. Operation actual costs, $33,173,000. But no surplus of $3,661,000. I don't know if you people have read the trimestral report that was issued for the 8 months of 2017. In that report, the actual operating costs of the town of Mont-Royal was $22 million. The budget for the year 2017 is $39,000,009. There's no way that we're going to spend $18 million in the next 4 months. So I'm over budgeting the actual operating costs. I might be very efficient in controlling my costs, but the budgets are way too high. So you have an option that was on, that if we had a finance committee, these would have been brought up to your attention. We could have easily, instead of saying, because now we'll go to the budget of 2018. The figure there for total expenditures are $44,350,910. Subtract the $3,956,000, which is your long-term debt, you end up with $40,394,000. That amount could have been reduced to compensate for part of, if not all of, the increase in the Anglo.
Okay, well, this is your opinion, of course.
Figures.
Yeah, well, figures, you can give.
Mayor, well, if you want me to contest these figures, I'll sit down with any time with John and Natalie, and we'll look at the actual operating costs of the town.
Okay.
But there's no finance committee, so the only opportunity I have is to talk about it here and say that you're over budgeting, and over budgeting means you're overtaxing.
Well,
Bottom line.
That can be your opinion, but I don't feel that we're over budgeting the budget,
Then
overcharging the resident.
Mayor
think
Roya,
Look
If
at
my-
the tax rate that we have. Look at the tax rate we have on other community. Look the way. If you're not prudent, if you don't have a conservative approach, when something like we got on January 10, well, you get hit very hard. So I'm here since 2 mandates now. It's really, really important to keep our prudent approach, and I don't feel that we're overcharging.
well, the figures, the actual operating cost versus budget disproves what you just said.
Well, I
And
don't agree.
unfortunately,
Okay.
there is no finance committee here that we could have talked about that, discuss it.
Well,
but-
every time you call and you ask a meeting, I know that Natalie's meeting you, or John
problem.
did in the past.
Mayor Roy, I appreciate having meetings with Natalie Leon and John Miller. There's not a problem. We go through certain things that I get a better understanding. But the facts and the figures are there. You cannot change that I'm over budgeting my and 2017, the results are going to come out in about 2-3 months. We're going to have a surplus
I hope.
based on operating
Wow.
costs, just on the operating costs, close to $5 million. Because there's no way I can spend $18 million in 4 months versus 22 for 8. But unfortunate, as I said before, there is no finance committee that we could have discussed, present this to the city councilors for them to have a better knowledge. For instance, do you know what percentage of my operating costs, that wages, salaries, and fringe benefits, what is that percentage of the total?
I don't have it, sir.
About 55%.
Great. Okay.
No, but, so control that part. Why is it do we spend $18 million on salaries, wages, and fringe benefits, for a population of 20,000 people when Beaconsfield is up around 9 million.
Mr. Borko, I still feel it's a really, really good budget. I don't agree with you that we're overcharging, and it's okay to disagree.
Over budgeting on actual expenses, Mr. Mayor, bottom line is overtaxation.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Barbara Lapointe, 405 Dobie. Je veux
Jean
juste
Barbara.
Allô, je veux juste savoir, comptant toute l'augmentation totale, là, pour une maison moyenne unifamiliale à Mont-Royal, c'est une augmentation de combien de dollars au juste que ça fait de plus cette année? 170.
Pour la maison moyenne évaluée à 1,1 million.
OK. Fait que ça va faire plus 170 dollars que l'année passée, c'est ça? Au juste?
C'est ça que ça veut dire.
OK. Fait qu'en tout total, une maison familiale, c'est quoi une augmentation? En tout, comment ça va nous coûter de taxes à peu près, là? Pour 1 million de... Non? 170, OK.
Bon.
OK, bon, parfait. Bon. C'est bon, merci.
Donc, c'est 170 ajoutés à ce 7 700.
Non, non.
Ça l'inclut déjà. Pardon.
OK, merci.
Yes, Anne?
Yeah, Ann Streeter, 1302 Counter. Just quickly, you said that we have a $360,000 decrease in expenditures.
Yes.
That doesn't sound like much in the overall scheme of things. You know, when we have a situation that we're facing this year, there are several areas in which you can deal with a situation, lower services, tax increase, so forth and so on. The other one I'd like to mention is tightening our belt on unnecessary expenditures or frivolous expenditures. And I see
Wow.
it happening all the time.
We don't have any frivolous
Oh, how about
expenditures.
Dow Park? You
Pardon
know,
me?
Dow Park is a frivolous one. You
Wow,
could have done
okay.
that, you could have done a nicer job for a fraction of the,
Well, it wasn't in the budget, it's pity, but still,
yeah. That's just
uh,
one thing I can
a lot of
think
people
of.
think it's really, really nice park.
Well, I mean, but it could have been just as nice or nicer with less spending. And that's just one. There are many, 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 you know, upcoming murals. These are not necessary in tight times, you know?
You feel
So if
it's
you're
not,
trying to
but-
save money, seems to me $360,000 in this budget is just minuscule. Anyway, just a thought.
Thank you.
Bonsoir.
Votre nom?
Daniel Robert, 770 Graham. Two things I wanted to talk about. The first one is I'm not a great fan of using surpluses to balance out budgets, but I guess to extraordinary problems you should come up with extraordinary solutions. But as you know, using the surplus this year, as it's a recurrent expense, which will gonna come back next year, probably with an added layer on it. It's somewhat a, how should I say, it's a catch-22 situation, really, and we're just forwarding the problem for next year, but I guess once again, that's the best compromise that you could come up with. The other thing is that a good part of this increase in what we pay to AGLO is due to the fact that our values, real estate values, grow more rapidly than the average one on the island of Montreal. Which means that if we just don't do anything from year to year, probably the same trend will come again and again and again, and we'll be standing there either trying to cut down on our expenses, and that's services to the citizens, or well, there's no or. You'd have to do that if you don't want to increase the taxes. Personally, I think that what was done in the past few years is probably a good solution. That is, we have to increase the value of our real estate assets, not just the one asset just goes up because the market brings it up, because that doesn't bring any additional revenues really. We all get eaten up by the aglo. What we need to do is projects like Royal Mount. Now, Royal Mount will bring in real new money in the town and offset, as a matter of fact, the extra cost that aglo comes up with. I guess we did that on Heckers and on Plymouth, and that's the way to go. Otherwise, we're just sitting ducks. And each year, once again, we're going to come back and have additional contributions to Yaglo. So I think the focus should be put on trying as much as possible, although most of our territory is developed now, to bring in additional projects and new taxes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Roman Boyko, 55 Strathcona. That has to do with the programme d'immobilisation, liste d'investissement par service. On page 2, there is, I think it's the 4th line, reconstruction, réflexion et resurfage des rues et des trottoirs for $10,500,000. The explanation has to do with Dobie, Le Ruelle de Dobie, Graham, from Kenora to Graham, Moac Park, parking. But can we get a better breakdown of that $10,500,000? Because it is a large amount. It's like 1/3 of what the sports center is going to cost.
Every year, we put several $1 million into our road reconstruction program.
Right.
It goes between $2.5 to $4 million annually on roads, sidewalks.
Correct.
That we redo. So,
there are other items in this listing here that treats that, okay? But I'm talking about
Yes, that's
strictly
right.
the one for Dobie.
So, for the year 2018, we've started to do the list, and it's based on the condition of the streets as to which ones, we do an evaluation of the streets, which are in the worst condition, which are the ones that are gonna have to be done. So I don't have the exact list with me of all the streets, but as it gets established, which is gonna be in the coming months, then the list is available and we have it available.
Yeah.
Usually it's even on our website.
Mrs. Couch, this one is very specific. It says Ruelle, Dobie, Andre, Graham, and Kenora.
Yes, some of
So
them
it's
are
not all the streets in the town I'm talking about specific to that one.
So, but you asked, my understanding was you asked which streets were being done.
No, I said that particular item for $10,500,000 has to deal with Ruelle, Dobie, stationnement,
It's a
du
listing.
Parc Moac. I know, but there's got to be a breakdown of that $10,500,000. That's a big amount, eh? I mean, it's
Yeah, but it's
1/3
not-
of the sports center.
Sorry, I'm just gonna get the document.
Anyway, so I don't,
We don't have the breakdown yet.
but it would
In
be,
the
you know.
next
There's a
month,
list
we'll
of
have a
several.
final list of all the intervention we'll do during next summer.
Yeah, but if the city council is going to approve
Yes,
an
we
amount,
will.
a substantial amount like that,
Yeah.
and like I said, it's 1/3 of the sports center, you would think there would be more information given as to what is being done on Ruelle, Dobie, Kenora to.
It's not a new amount. Each year, we put $8, $9, $10 million on our
Right.
streets and sidewalk. It's always like that each year.
I realize
So-
that, but we're talking about one particular street here, Mayor. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to,
No,
I'm not
no,
trying
I
to make
know,
a debate
but
here.
I don't know how much gonna cost the Dobie Ruelle. We will have to go on appel d'offre, and
No,
we'll
but
have the price.
City
but-
council has approved the 10.5 million,
10.5 is for
10,500,000.
all.
No, just
the-
for that one item.
No.
Am I reading it incorrectly here?
Yes, I did it.
$10,500,000?
That was in the December council meeting when we approved that.
Yeah. Well, was
the
it,
December council meeting.
I thought it was, did we have a meeting on that?
Yes,
I was there, I don't recall it.
in December, in December, we adopted the capital works program, three-year triennial capital works program at the council meeting of December.
Would it been recorded?
Yes. And.
It's not there then.
Tonight is the operating budget.
Yeah, but it wasn't there, Mrs. Couch. It's not on the recording. Sorry,
Well, we adopted the capital works program at the December council meeting.
which should be recorded, correct? But it isn't recorded.
The meeting is not recorded?
No, not on the capital expenditure. Look, I'm not trying to dig up something here. That's why I'm bringing it up for the first time, because it's the first time I've heard about it. And I was at the meeting the December the 11th, and I don't recall going through this.
Well, I'm not sure we didn't go through every item individually. We said that there was a it was the capital works budget that was being approved.
Well, check the recording then, because I listened to it and I didn't hear it. Sorry about that. I'm not trying to catch you off guard. I was just trying to get more details of what this $10.5 million is. What does it consist of? Because like I said, it's 1/3 of the sports center.
My understanding is that it's for all the reconstruction of street and sidewalk that we'll do next year.
It's
but
just
well
it's just the one street, Dobie.
Well checked.
Mr. Boyko, if you remember that night, you even asked me that you were having trouble understanding how the totals worked on the page. The total was at the
Could be,
top,
yeah.
and then there was the breakdown underneath.
I
So we
think
had the discussion
I
at the
think
time,
yeah.
and it was all written there.
Yeah, because
And you asked the
you're
question.
absolutely correct. But it's just because I went to the recording and it wasn't there, so I forgot.
check.
But you're
Okay,
absolutely
good.
right,
You
Mrs.
did that,
Couch.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Will we be able to get some sort of an answer on that somewhere in the future? What that $10,500,000?
Yes.
Because you got Station Mohawk Park included in there. So is it 200,000 or is it $2 million? Be interesting to know.
We will
Thank
have
you.
the answer. Thank you. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Hi, my name is Anna Lynn. I live on 11 Beverly. I just had a question, if I may, about how the aglo share is calculated.
Wow. That's
Are
very.
you able to summarize that quickly? How is it with respect to our property values, population, the usage of the water in the town?
It's all of that. I'm going to let Madame Couch do it.
There is a percentage that's calculated. It's a mix of everything. There's what is called the potentiel fiscal, and it's related to the value of the properties in the town. And there's also a factor as to how we weigh into it with respect to the other municipalities. What our percentage is with respect to, let's say, Beaconsfield or St. Anne de Bellevue. So it's quite a complicated formula. The value of the properties is what is the main part of the basis. Our treasurer, if she's able to do it in a nutshell, could maybe try to give you the explanation, but it's quite an involved calculation. Je te laisse ici.
The residential sector, it's count for one. Okay. Then we have the value of all the town, and then for the residential sector, it's one. For the non-residential sector, and industrial and commercial, we have to multiply the value by 2.69 or 2.68, anyway, something like this. And for the like school, ambassade, then it's only the value of this this immeuble that we have to add. Then we add all this amount, and then it give a big amount for us. And after that, they compare it with all the citizens in the Ville de Mont-Royal, with Montreal and all the other 40 merged city. Then it's that. That's the way it's calculated, and our share in that is 2.14%. At the agro, it's 82%, if my memory is good.
Yeah, I don't know how she did in a few minutes. It took an hour first time. Someone trying to explain me this ratio, this formula.
I guess I was just surprised at how much higher our percentage was, I think there was only one other city that came anywhere close, so.
Yes.
I was just wondering, how come we use that much more water? Or is it
No,
just our
no, no,
properties
no.
are that much more valuable?
Yeah.
So, I guess looking forward, what other people have mentioned is that, is this something that we can look forward to in the future continually?
Well, this formula has been created by the municipal minister. The first time that all the town agreed on the formula was 2008. At that time, I wasn't there, but the mayor at that time felt that the formula was okay. And 10 years after that, well, 8 or 9 years after that, some town decided to revisit the formula, and the government accept to do a new one, more adapted to the new situation, and that's what we got.
So does that mean that there will be any recourse in the future?
Well,
to
it's a
administer?
temporary one. It's there for 3 years, and in the meantime, we have to negotiate a new one. So it's, of course, a priority for TMR to try to find a new formula that's going to be, we feel, better for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Boyko, with respect to your question on road reconstruction, so if you look at the document that you have in your hand, it states the first column is the project, second column says previous years, and it says 2018, 2019, 2020, and a total. So, en reconstruction, réfection et resurfaçage de rues et trottoirs, the 10,500,000 is in the total column. So it is the total after 3 years. Year 1, we put in $2.5 million. Year 2 is $4 million. Year 3 is $4 million. The explanation in the comment column is always related to the first year. So, and it says that, so it's la reconstruction, it says travaux de reconstruction de rues et de trottoirs selon le plan d'intervention des chaussées. So it's an annual plan, and some of the others that are included as well are Ruelle d'Aubie between Kenora and Graham, and the parking in at Mohawk Park. So it is not a $10,500,000 project. That's the total over 3 years. That's in the total column.
No, I agree with you, that's the total, 10.5 million. But it doesn't give us a breakdown. How much is the Dobie Street, for instance? Just the Dobie between Kenora and Graham. How much is the cost of that?
So you just want to know how much the one, because it's an overall project. So we put in a certain amount of money to do it, the streets as we need, plus the extra ones that we have this year. We know that we have to do work on the Dobie Laneway and on the Mohawk, the parking lot at Mohawk.
Well,
But if you want to know exactly,
well, it's you know, I'm a curious guy when it comes to spending $10.5 million, and when I read, I'd like to know, how much is the Cessameta Mohawk? Is it 1 million, 500, 200,000? What is it? What is the cost of that street of Dobie between Kenora and Graham? You know, the breakdown, I mean, if city councilors should be aware of that,
But
when they vote for 10.5 million.
they're voting on not the project itself. They're not voting on the expense because we haven't given the tender. They're voting on the fact of doing road works, infrastructure work of a value in 2018 up to $2.5 million. And we will go to tender, and when we go to tender, then they will have the exact cost of the project. But I understand
Yeah.
you want to know for Dobie.
Well,
We'll take out the estimate for Dobie.
The reason for that is because we have other items on that plan, which is for trottoir, des rues, infrastructure. I mean, that's not the only item that deals with infrastructure and streets and sidewalks. There are other
No.
costs in that 4-page or 5-page document. But, you know, you specifically, we mentioned Dobie between Kenora and Graham and the stationnement for Mohawk Park.
because it's included with the roads. The other one is only sidewalks. The other thing is, but there is no nowhere else on there is there roadworks. It's our general roadwork
Okay,
annual program.
So you'll be able to provide, or you can call me or email me, you have it. You can tell me how much it is for road work,
will.
how much it is for Dobie, and what's the session,
When we have the final number, we'll give it to you.
And you can CC the city councilors.
Thank you.
And that's not sarcastic, she said, okay? It was
Merci
just, it
beaucoup.
was an LOL, that's all.
Nous sommes maintenant au point 5, levée de la séance. Michel.
Yeah, so all subjects on the agenda have been dealt with, so I move to close the meeting.
I second.
Merci, je demande le vote. Alors, merci beaucoup. Bonsoir tout le monde.